y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And goodbye 2019, hello 2020, and we are going to be today discussing a finely curated selection of what I consider to be the best standout palettes of the year of 2019. Now, typically I would usually, I think, pick like 10 or something like that, but y'all, let's be real, there was so much crap coming out in 2019. There's a little more than 10. I honestly just went through and was like, yes, that's the best. Yes, that's amazing. Yes, that's good. I want to talk about that one. There are going to be some brand repeats, some like, yes, this is really amazing from this brand, and this is really amazing from this brand. We've got some brands that we've never featured before in our best of eyeshadow palettes of 2019. There will be a least favorite eyeshadow palettes of 2019. There will be middle ground makeup, and there will be best and worst just overall makeup. So this is simply the first installment of analyzing all of the makeup that I have experienced in 2019. So obviously, if you want to be appraised of that, definitely please hit the subscribe button and tap notification bell, because like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg in the like makeup of 2019. But because we have got a lot to go over, let's just dive on in, because we got a lot. Firstly, y'all know, 9 times out of 10, we have got a Jeffree Star palette. This is his Jawbreaker. Now, he did come out with the Conspiracy and Controversy palette. I picked the Jawbreaker just because I think that this formula and this palette in it on a whole has a lot more to give than that one does. I absolutely love the array of colors in here. You all know I am a unnatural color lover. And so when this palette was released, I was like, I am all about that. The matte to shimmer ratio, the shimmers. I need to do something with that yellow right now. This has now been one of the ones that I recommend. If any of y'all are like, well, what kind of Jeffree Star palette should I get? I recommend either this one or the Blood Sugar, depending on, you know, what you're interested in doing, what you're wanting to get out of a palette. But of his big palettes, I think this one just really stood out. It has some gorgeous colors. It works nicely on its own by itself, but it's also a fantastic companion palette for any kind of bright look you're wanting to do. Sour is an absolutely fantastic drink. Gumdrop, bubblegum, cherry wet, raspberry. I mean, there's just so many beautiful Jawbreaker right there. The only shade I could live without is this Virgin one, which is just, I know it's good for blending out darker colors and it's whatever, but for the way I do my makeup, I could have lived without that. It is just an absolutely amazing palette. If you are a color lover, highly, highly recommend investing in this. Then kind of one, we might as well talk about the little one in here. You know, I bought this because, you know, it's a Jeffree Star palette and I reviewed most of the collection. And funnily enough, this one has actually become, I reach for this one so often, like it's not even funny. I love, like, if I'm going to be doing a pinky purpley whatever look, I reach for this. I absolutely love this Oral shade, this Foreplay, perfection. I also love the Orange Crush. There's not a shade in this little palette that I don't love and use. I think that Jeffree coming out with these smaller ones, also with his big ones, is a really good idea, because sometimes people don't want to, like, you know, spend however much money it is on his big palette, so this is a great way to test his formula. And I just love how just nicely curated this is. Every time I reach for this, there has not been a time that I haven't absolutely loved how my look turned out. It's just so nice, and I'm really excited for him. I actually reached for the mini Controversy palette over the big Conspiracy one because it's just so well curated, and yeah, I just really, really like this little one. I recommend both of them. It's just so concise and nice and just straightforward and to the point. Now let's talk about a palette from a brand that I had never, ever tried before, and then they were like, "Ooh, look at this collection." I was like, yeah, I kind of really need that. This was a first for me. Besame Cosmetics. This is their Sleeping Beauty, the 1959 collection. Now, spoiler alert, the blush palette is going to be in the best makeup of 2019, and this is the eyeshadow palette. It is just, I mean, packaging alone, absolutely stunning, aesthetically pleasing, except for the fact that you can't really open it. That's a little bit annoying. But this is an all matte palette, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love this palette so much. Y'all know I am a color lover. I am a matte lover. The greens in here, absolutely stunning, perfection. The reds and the purples and the blues and the mustards. This is just such a aesthetically pleasing, beautifully curated, and fantastically formulated palette. Now, this palette is expensive, but it is one of those things where I'm saying it is worth it because, you know, packaging aside and all that jazz, the formula was just so lovely to work with. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and I talked about in my review how clever and such a good idea this is for taking, you know, a color theme from a movie that already exists and is consistent and turning it and translating it into an eyeshadow palette is just a phenomenal idea. I love this. You know, if this goes on sale, snatch it up. I would even recommend it for its full price. It is just so beautiful and so well done. I cannot wait for them to do more of these because I know they did Snow White, and I think this is their second one. They've done a Peter Pan collection with Besame. If they come out with more palettes like this in 2020, y'all better believe a review is going to be on my channel. Okay, now typically I feel like for as long as I've been doing the like best of each year, there has been some incarnation of an Anastasia palette because typically, you know, back in the day, Anastasia was releasing pretty regularly. You know, they were consistent, their quality and their whateverness was consistent. But this year, we're not so much having an Anastasia palette in the 14 pan situation. But I did pick one of the Norvina Pro Pigment palettes. I think these are a fantastic release. Should they have been released as quickly and as suddenly and how they were released? No, probably not. But that does not take away from the beauty of the Norvina Pro Pigment Palette Volume 3. This is my favorite color theory wise. You've got the oranges, the pinks, and the purples, and the greens, and it's just, it is all kinds of things, all good and wonderful to me. The matte to shimmer ratio, like I said, I am a matte color lover. This delivers in many ways over. I love the formula of these mattes so much. I wouldn't consider them like a typical Anastasia shadow, like from Modern Renaissance or Soft Glam or anything like that, but this is like, it's very pigmented. You are definitely gonna wanna do with like a patting and then a blending motion, but it's just, I love the color and the brightness, and I love how just inspiring this is to me. I look at it and I get excited and I'm like, I want to wear that, and that all over my face. This one is definitely my favorite of the three, mostly because I find it to be the most concise, the most legible, you know, where the other ones are just kind of like a bit more mishmash. This one I feel has a more concise and color theory that's, you know, like I said, very legible. And it doesn't help that I absolutely love all of these colors. This is just kind of my jam right here. And I even love how it has like, you know, you've got the bright colors, but then you've got like boom, 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 you know, where you can take and you can make a more, you know, neutral look and then add a little something under the, you know, pop a little green under here. Or if you want to go all crazy, go for the purple, pink, and orange and green. You know, that's how I'm living my life. Oh, really? Say it ain't so. But of the three, I definitely would recommend this one. I have heard, do not quote me on this, but apparently they're permanent. Don't look at me. But out of the three, this is the one, in the words of Marie Kondo, that has given me the most joy. Then if we're gonna talk about some palettes that gave me a lot of joy this year, we have to, it was hard. I was gonna just pick one. I was like, girl, you gotta pick one, but I could not pick one. I had to pick two. Y'all may know what I'm talking about. If you do, leave a comment down below and see if you're right. But this year was the year of Soraya being introduced to Colourpop, and as such, I became bitten by the Colourpop addiction, which is apparently a thing. And two of their monochromatic palettes that were released in 2019. First, this one. When it came out, I saw a picture of it and I was like, I need that. I need that in my life. Green eyeshadow, for me, has become like, you know, before it was like, you know, Modern Renaissance, Venus, lime crime, you know, the Venus XL, blood sugar, you know, but no, now we are in the green. I just love their formula so stinking much. You know, if you're gonna buy a curated palette, great. If you're gonna buy a bunch of their singles, which I also have done. But I love these so much. So this one is just my luck, but I had to pick, and then we're going back to the, you know, the red. This is the main squeeze one. I have used and abused the ever-living shiz out of these palettes. If I want to do a red look, boom. If I want to do a green look, boom. I mean, they're just perfectly curated, concise. I feel like this kind of little, but still a lot of variety to it kind of palettes are kind of like the wave palettes of the future, because, you know, we got the Morphe palettes and we got all the big giant ones, but these ones, they're so nicely curated. They've got a good variety to them. They're just very much no nonsense, one and done. You know exactly what you're doing, but they also play hideously well with other I can't tell you how many times, like, I will use one of these palettes on their own, but then I'll pull out all of them and be like, all right, let's have a little bit of eyeshadow palette mix match bingo. I used the strawberry one and the Ooh La La one on my eyes today. You know, they're just, I love these. I love these. Honestly, the only like holiday vault that I don't even know if it's a thing anymore, but Colourpop came out with like a vault that had all of these. If you have none of them or you have one of them, buy that vault, because I love. The only one that I'm not a huge fan of is the Honey one, but every other one of these monochromatic palettes I have tried, I absolutely love. And these two, these are definitely eyeshadow palettes that I have gotten my money out of for 12 bucks a pop. I have gone in on these. I mean, they perform like high end. I would consider this incarnation of the Colourpop formula to be better than Too Faced, better than Urban Decay, better than Smashbox, sometimes even better than Tarte and Stila. I mean, I cannot say enough good things about these. They're just absolutely fan-tucking-fastic. Then we'll continue on in the little baby palettes. Huda Beauty, I don't know if she's ever been featured in my best of, but she released these neon palettes. We just addressed the fact that I am a color lover, a crazy, vivid, bright neon color lover. And so when she released these, I was like, okay, all right. I reviewed and really enjoy her jewel tone ones. You know, we got crazy colors going on here. This one is I have no blinking idea. I want to say this one's orange and this one's pink, or maybe one of them's pink and one of them's purple. She also has a green one, but that one did not make the cut. We are specifically talking about these two. Partly because these two palettes are hideously complementary. They work beautifully together on their own. They're great. They're fantastic. I love this matte formula. It's just so pigmented and smooth and easy to work with. And when you're dealing with a bright neon color, that's a formulation that can be just a little bit trickier to, you know, get right. And so the fact that these are so nice, I love this green shimmer. I mean, all the shimmers in here and in here. I mean, it's just, all in all, these are probably the Huda palettes that I can get behind the most, between the nice sturdy acrylic packaging, the matte to shimmer ratio, the colors, the formulation. If you are someone who really loves bright colors, I would highly, highly recommend investing in these because I'm not sure what I was expecting when I reviewed them. And speaking of which, most of these palettes I've reviewed, I will leave reviews linked down below so you can get kind of a more in-depth discussion if you're interested on buying them. But I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but whatever I got, I was blown away by. I love taking this shade just all up in here and then popping that. Yes, they are just so beautifully curated and so well done. I wish she would make more like this, or I'm not sure what, this formula needs to be a thing. She needs to make more neons or just take this formula and, you know, translate into everything else. Because I honestly think in the terms of eyeshadow and eyeshadow palettes, these are probably two of the best things she's ever done. Then talk about the best thing that a brand has ever done. Lunar Beauty. Oh my goodness, Manny. I feel like his brand is starting to like kind of come up in a way. I wish more people talked about it, especially y'all know how I feel about his lip gloss and his liquid lipstick formula. Hideously, hideously underrated. But this is his Moonspell palette. I mean, just straight off the back, it is all things aesthetically beautiful. I mean, the thought and the detail that was put into this packaging, the fact that the names are all named after really famous TV show and movie witches and stuff like that. It's just aesthetically, it had me. And a lot of people were kind of like, what? You know, when we were the color story was revealed. But I honestly think, once again, I talked about in my review how I'm like, okay, you've got this middle row here, which is this kind of perfect already neutrals. Then you take this row by itself and it's all nice purples and greens, you know, even though it seems a little bit kind of out in the whatever, I think it does have a very beautifully curated and thought out color story. It's definitely not a color story that we've really seen in the beauty community, beauty whateverness going on. So I think he's very unique in that sense. I absolutely love this Piper shade and this Fiona shade. They're just, I will just do just that all up in there and it is absolutely stunning. This Prue shade here, I love Bonnie, Marnie here, Nancy, Sabrina. I mean, even like the neutrals. Y'all know I'm not a big fan of neutrals, but I love me and can respect a beautifully formulated neutral. And these, you know, colors here, this one, beautiful transition shade. Love Winifred and Kiki. It's just really nicely done. And I feel like he doesn't get enough appreciation for the effort that he does put into his brand and for the fact that, unlike Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, he's been pretty unproblematic when it comes to his cosmetics. Okay, this is the Radioactive palette from Melt Cosmetics. Now, part of my reasoning for loving this, part of it is going to be a little bit subjective, but sometimes when I do my eyebrows, I will do them with a liquid lipstick and I will want to set it down. This is the absolutely perfect palette for doing that. Or if you want to do ombre eyebrows, this green, the pink, and the orange, and the absolute perfection. So it has that going for it. And then it also has going for the fact that it is a beautiful neon palette. You've got your very traditional, the pink, the orange, the yellow, the green, and then you've got some shades that are just a little bit more unique, like this arsenic shade, the Meltdown. Hazmat is stunning. I absolutely adore Uranium just for a one look and done. It's just a very beautiful and concise collection of mattes that you can look at and be like, okay, I know what I want to do this. Whereas if you had like a whole collection of crazy neon colors, it can sometimes get a little bit overwhelming. So that's part of why I'm like, you know, I think smaller, more concise, more curated palettes are going to be the eyeshadow palettes of the future. I just thought this was absolutely beautifully well done. It is a gorgeous pigmented and blendable formula. I love xenon, arsenic, like I said. Now y'all gonna get some staining. Like I said, these things is heckin' pigmented. So with shades like basically all of them, you're gonna put something down right there, else you're gonna get some like stainage, making it look like you're walking around with pink eye everywhere. But once again, I feel like if you are a color lover, then this is definitely another one of those like just beautiful, colorful palettes that are going to be worth the investment. Now we're going to take a moment and talk about like, okay, because we've had a lot of color up in here. Your girl loves the color, but what if y'all want to invest in something that's a little bit less intense? I tried out for the first time ever the Tachi Beauty. I believe this is the Textured Neutrals palette. This is the first palette of her collection. I think the formulas in here are absolute perfection. The mattes, the metallics. I don't like pressed glitters. You all know this. I like these pressed glitters. I just think this is such a great investment palette for someone, I would say someone starting out in makeup who doesn't, who doesn't have a lot, who needs a really good, like solid base to start from someone who loves, a neutral look and wants to have a palette that's going to maybe zhuzh it up a little bit and give them a bit more excitement. I absolutely love the way that it's got the rows of all the same shades, but just in different finishes. I know that I had a couple of y'all tell me that this is not unique to her, this whole like row thing with different finishes, and I'm like, okay, all right, I understand that. This is the first time I've experienced it, and I think it does make for a very legible, easy to read, and very user-friendly palette, which I think speaks very well to Tati's audience. This is very much a her palette. You can look at this and you can think of her, more neutral, more glam, sophisticated, classy sort of makeup. I love this Poet row right here. I love these shades. I love this row here. I mean, for it being so basic and for it being so neutral, this palette actually excites me in a lot of different ways. And it is definitely one that I reach for when I'm like thinking, okay, well, I want to go monochromatic or I want to go super simple. This is something that I definitely reach for. The packaging is beautiful, nice and sturdy. So if you're wanting to invest in something that's a little less intense, I think this would be great. The formulas, I think, are just, she really did a fantastic job of quality control and created a nice, consistent formula and experience overall. So, hey, Soraya from the future here, whilst editing my video, I realized my camera, which is my phone, only records up to a certain amount, and so I had filmed another segment, which I thought I'd transferred to my computer, but I hadn't, so I then deleted it off my phone. So here we are. And the last palette I want to talk about as being the best standout for me, this is a true investment piece. I believe I will have talked about it in so many videos by now, but the Viseart Grand Pro 3. Y'all, this palette is pretty much matte color loving perfection. I mean, it's expensive. It is $175. I did purchase mine when the Sephora was having the 20% off sale. I also had gift cards, but let me tell you, the Viseart formula is one of the only super expensive eyeshadow formulas that I actually feel okay with saying it's worth the money, because these are just so well formulated. I've said it before, it is not a beginner price point, but it is such a good beginner formula because they are just so easy to work with. I absolutely adore the color spectrum of this. There is not a color in here that I do not use and do not love. And one thing that's absolutely fantastic is from light to darkest, they all perform phenomenally. Typically, the darker the shade, especially with crazy colors like this, the formulation can start to get a little bit tricky and they may get a little bit patchy and hard to blend. No, none of that with this. They blend excellently from top to bottom, left to right. I just love this palette. This is probably one of the best colorful palettes on the market. As much as I talked about the Anastasia Norvina palettes, this is like a palette that I would recommend over that, over Jeffree Star. Like, if you are looking to invest in a colorful palette, this is absolutely phenomenal. I have been using this nonstop, and I've actually been pairing it with my Viseart Dark Mattes, and it is sublime. These eyeshadows are an absolute pleasure to work with. Like I said, I feel a little bit, because that's $175. That's like 5 other palettes. But this is the type of palette that if I were doing, you know, a declutter and I would look at other colorful palettes that I own, I would be more inclined to declutter those, because this one just stands out so much in color theory and formulation, pigmentation, blendability, wearability. Everything about this is pretty much, like I said, for someone who loves mattes and for someone who loves color, this is pretty much perfection. I would absolutely love for Viseart to come out with more of these brightly colored, you know, give me some purples, give me some, you know, some more greens, some more, just give me all of those like really nice punchy colors in this formula, and I would be in absolute heaven. If you're gonna, like, you know, invest in something expensive, I would recommend this over Natasha Denona. I'd recommend it over Huda Beauty. I'd recommend it over Pat McGrath. I mean, this is just so absolutely lovely. This was something that I initially wasn't so sure about buying because it's expensive. It's expensive. But I 110% am happy with my choice of purchasing this. One of the best palettes ever released in 2019. Because part of you, whenever you buy something that's like super expensive, I feel like a part of you is like, well, you know, I'll get it and then it won't be that amazing. And so then I can be like, well, it's not worth the price, you know, but this is just, it's so good. This is one of those things that you buy and you're just like, when you're going on in, you're just like, there's absolutely no way it can be, you know, worth anything and all that, but it really is. It is just absolute. I love it. I love this so much. All right, so there we have the best palettes of 2019 for you all. I'm sorry about the saturation going in and out, but we do what we gotta do. Obviously, I would love to know what y'all think about the palettes I talked about. Like I always say, makeup is subjective. We don't all have the same experience, expectations, and all that jazz. So definitely let me know what you think about these palettes. Let me know what your best and favorite palettes of 2019 were. There was definitely no shortage whatsoever of palettes being released and everything and all that, but there's definitely, you know, things that rise above for one reason or another, and these were just the ultimate standouts for me of this year. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!